Everybody. This is my favorite DPS support build in the game. So, if you do top DPS, it's kind of strange. You should deal pretty good DPS. I've got like 4 billion, where it's like negative 200 million. I think that's right. Anyway, so this is the build. Uh, I guess I can start with the technician, no, specialist. So group members that get 10% bonus damage to targets with the status effects. So anything that has a status effect, whether they're a skill build or a weapon build, they'll get 10% extra damage to targets with a status effect. And then you get protection from elites. I recommend submachine gun and shotgun, and then you could do pistol if you want, or uh, put a LMG or something if you use specialist from something else. But if you don't, you get skill haste while in cover. I am using the heal drone or the Mender Seeker mine. Flame grenades give people status, so that's a way to get your statuses. Now let's talk about how the build synergizes. So it's DPS support 100%. So if you wanted to do a pure uh, more DPS set, uh, I would recommend using the chest because you get 50% amplification versus 20. But since this is a DPS support, I'm using the new beacon. So while you're next to a skill, uh, you're going to get at least 15% extra critical hit damage, 8% skill efficiency, and skill efficiency is all things related to skills. So haste, status effects, health, damage, duration, and you get 1% armor regen. If you're next to a player, both you and all allies receive 30% critical hit damage, 15% skill efficiency, and 2% armor regain. So if you're next to a skill build or anybody with a heal ball, and then I'm running the Harmondo, you can craft it and it gives you 10% skill haste and perfectly overclocked. I do recommend the Harmondo because uh, it gives you 15 meters instead of 7. Deploy skills gain, and it only works with 2 skills in the game, which is kind of disingenuous. But the turret, which is why I recommend the turret, or the hive. Uh, but since you can put your turn out and take it back quickly, I recommend the turret. So it gives you 30% reload speed and reduces the active cooldowns by zero point 0.6 seconds each second. So basically 60%, and it's better than haste, though you do give 15% haste if are within 10 meters. And then this is just absolutely great for people that run skill builds. Or if somebody has a reviver hive and it's on a long cooldown. Uh, so you can run 2 armor cores uh, or as much armor as you want. It's squishy because it's an all red build, but I could change this one in the knee pads and get like 1.2 million armor. But it's all crit hit chance and damage with all critical hit damage. All my mods are crit hit damage, crit hit damage. So that could be armor if I wanted it to. And this one, of course, is crit hit chance, crit hit damage with a crit hit damage mod. Critical hit damage and more critical hit damage. This one could be armor too. So technically I can change this one, and my face to armor if I needed to. I think that's the only good rolls I got. And the Grudge, so it comes with 21% critical hit chance. I would roll damage to targets out of cover, and it's perfectly vindictive. Killing an enemy with a status effect applied grants you and allies within 20 meters 21% hit crit chance and 21% crit damage. So if they're close to you within 10 meters, they're going to get 30 from your chest and another 20 from this. 51% critical hit damage and 21% critical hit chance. If they're a skill build, they probably didn't build for crit, so the 21% is very nice. If they are a weapon build, they're probably within 2 to 3%, like 58, 57, or they're right at 60, dependently. They might be at 60.5, but it only goes up to 60. So you might be able to give them that extra 1 or 2%, but you're always going to give them the critical hit damage. And then you give everybody bleed ammo, half whatever their clip is, not yours. So you get a full clip, increasing your weapon damage by another 20% and applying bleed on hit. And you give everybody a half a clip of ammo, which increases their damage. Even if the target can't be bled, like it's a hound, they'll still get the 20% weapon damage. Uh, but for hounds and things like that, and also to proc your set, you have the Scorpio, which deals shock, which disorients electrical things. So why, like a dog, a hound, whatever you want to call it, or any kind of turret is shocked, it's not going to operate, and it's going to deal shock damage to it, and it deals shock damage to normal targets. It poisons, disorients, shocks. Uh, Poison doesn't count, but disorient and shock does count as a status, so it will add a mark. Sorry, I had to sneeze. So shooting a status affected enemy will apply a mark. Killing marked enemy grants a full clip of hollow point. So you can either throw your fire grenades and then shoot them, or use it to prime the Scorpio. And the Bender Seeker Ride to heal your turret and everybody else's, and it auto heals so you don't have to worry about it. A turret, because you need the Hermondo to proc, you're not really using it for damage. You're using it for faster reload for you and your Scorpio, if you had a heavy, or to help everybody's skills, or just uh, to distract the enemies. And the Scorpio also increases damage from all sources by 20%. So if you do Scorpio stacks, let's go down to the trading rounds so I can show you. I don't know if I still have bleed ammo. I do. So this is one of the few guns you could switch off, and you could still see I have my buff. So now my Scorpio has 21% crit hit chance and damage. And then it's going to get an extra 20% damage from having bleed ammo. So really, you could switch back and forth, but mainly I don't even use the Scorpio unless it's a heavy or a dog or some kind of electronic. And then you could see the little line off here. This is the 15 meters. So if they are close enough, oh, it went back. I gotta stay on the wall, I think. So I still get it from here. It's the little green line on my shoulder. So now my Scorpio reloads 30% faster. Also, this set gives you 30%. So you get 60% reload speed, and then 15 to status effects, which increases your status effect damage, which will help the Scorpio. It'll help your bleed ammo. Let me turn skill haste off. Also, whenever you drop this, you're always going to have at least, unless somebody needs healing, you're going to have half of the beacon effect. Uh, so the stats, since it gives 21, you can. Oh, what do I have on my guns? Sorry. So I have weapon handling for better stability, accuracy, and decreased reload time. And I think there still is a buff on reloads, so, but it's still pretty fast. 20 extra rounds. It increases your reload speed by 10, but you get 30 from your set, so it's not a big deal. Uh, I have more accuracy and optimal range, so it'll fire kind of like an assault rifle. It's got a bigger mag and optimal range. I think that's it. Of course, the quick step is also 20% movement speed. And I think this is mostly critical hit chance. So this will be, if I have my skulls, I get 21, so it'll be at 53% critical hit chance and over like 100, 204 critical hit damage. Well, actually more than that with beacon because it's an extra either 15 to 30. The pistol will get another 21, so it'll be at 58% critical hit chance. And your special will be at 43. Uh, that's why I'm running all basically critical hit damage and no crit hit chance. Because I'm trying to get skulls. If you didn't want the extra movement speed, you could also run the orbit. So if you kill somebody with a finisher, you'll get uh, and switch off the weapon. You'll get more critical hit chance and more critical hit damage, and it does stack. So I could show you that. So both of these weapons you could switch, and it doesn't matter. I think that's it. But yeah, this to me is the most helpful build. Uh, you could do. You increase everybody's damage by 20% for half a clip and give them damage over time with bleed. That procs your survivalists, giving them another 10%. So 30% amplified damage, at least for half a clip. Other than if they're close to you, they can get armor regen, skill efficiency, critical. You could use the Hermondo to speed up your skills, their skills, uh, and then of course amplify their critical hit chance and damage. I know skill builds really appreciate the extra crit chance, because they're probably like in the low 20s anyway, so it'll push them up to like 40 something. And then all the critical hit damage, and then just a nice 20% boost to their weapon damage. 20% extra damage to heavies with the Scorpio. Uh, so together that's like 50% extra damage to targets, at least for half a cliff. So you get 20 from this, 10 from that, and then 20 from Scorpio on heavies or anything else. Uh, you do baby heals, so if they have a drone, this will go out and just heal things, heal them, heal randoms. Uh, I think that's it, but yeah, this is probably my favorite build. It does pretty good DPS. Obviously, it's not top tier DPS, but I'm pretty sure this is as supporty as you can get in this game. You could also run the chest piece and run coyotes, which will give crit hit chance and damage depending on the last target you shot. Uh, but for most people, uh, they'd probably rather have the critical hit damage. But this is 10 meters, so coyotes is also a recommended one, and then you could run the chest. Whoops, and coyotes. And this would buff people regardless of where they're at. So it doesn't have a range. It's just if they're in your group, they're getting buffed either critical hit damage, chance, critical hit damage and chance, or critical hit chance. So coyotes is also a great option. Oh yeah, the other variant. So a more selfish barrier variant would be the chest, and then I recommend the liquid engineer with probably either catharsis for some self healing and status effect cleanse. So this will heal you 50% of your HP over 10 seconds, so 5% a second. It also increases your weapon damage by up to 45%. Uh, and this is permanent armor regen. And then whenever you get a kill, you add a stack of bonus armor. You could also run coyotes, which you probably wouldn't need if you're doing it solo. Uh, but even if you were in a group and you were just running the grudge, uh, and this setup to give you, you're pretty tanky. You got 1.2 million armor, and this will stack up to 10 times. So you'll get a lot of bonus armor, permanent 1% health regen, and an emergency heal. This is also a good build, and I'm pretty sure they would still enjoy the 20% damage from this and the grudge. So I don't know if this will, yeah, it'll proc. So you can see you can get a lot of bonus armor. And it just keeps refreshing after you get a kill. So this is more tank. You could be more run and gun and get up to 45% extra damage. Uh, but it will drop off if you get hit too many times. So yeah, that's a lot of armor. It's basically doubling your armor pool if you get the kills. So if you're at 1.2, you'll be at 2.4 million armor with all your stacks. That is a full tank build. Uh, Yeah, I think that's it. Those are all the variants I would run if you really wanted to be helpful. Of course, I'd run these with crit hit damage, I think. Yeah, because you 21, you'd be at 30, you'd be at 58. So, yeah, I would run two crit hit damage mods. I think that's it. Have a great day. Sorry for the long video.